Hi, guys. Welcome to today's episode of Transgender Stories, Murders, and Survival. Today, we're talking about the beautiful, beautiful Brianna Ghey. She was a 16-year-old transgender woman. First, I want to start off with saying condolences to her family, to her friends, to everyone who she may have touched along the way, who loved her, and all that good stuff there. As you know, my name is Giselle Nicole. I like to bring these stories to you just to highlight some things that just occurs in the transgender community. A lot of people don't know the death rate, and they don't know just um, how dangerous it is just for us to live our lives and just live in our truth. Even with this individual, she was a 16-year-old girl. This is her. This is Brianna Ghey. She's 16 years old. She was a junior in high school. Now, she was not from the United States. She was from the UK. But that goes to show you that this can happen anywhere. This can happen anywhere. And it's just sad to say because it just makes you feel so unsafe in today's society, in today's world, because people are so bothered and so moved and upset just by other people just living their life, living in their truth and being happy within themselves. And that angers people. And I don't know why, but it does. And it's very sad, and it's very, devastating to people. We're going to start this story is just so tragic. I hate to even have to speak on it, but here we go. So her name is not Brianna Ghey, it's Brianna Ghey. It's Ghey. I thought it was Gray. I do apologize. Brianna Ghey was born November 7th, 2006. She was 16 years old, a transgender girl, and 11th grader, as I said, a junior at Birchwood Community High School. Her parents described her as a larger-than-life character who would leave a lasting impression on all that met her. According to her friends, Ghey would often help younger trans girls safely and legally access hormone replacement therapy. Now, for those of you out there who don't know what hormone replacement therapy is, it's when you're transitioning from one gender to the other to comfortably see yourself how you feel inside. So it helps you with that transition. It softens you, it feminizes you, and it's something really good for girls like me and Brianna and other girls around the world that are transitioning. Now, they also said that before Ghey was killed, she had faced years of transphobic harassment and bullying, including at school, a part of which was being repeatedly gang beaten. Birchwood head teacher said that I spoke again to Brianna's mom, who confirmed that Brianna was not bullied at Birchwood and always felt well supported by the school, and she gave me permission to share this with you all. So she was bullied, but she wasn't bullied specifically at Birchwood, where she was attending her 11th grade year in high school. Now, in addition to being a student, Ghey was also a TikToker with the number of followers. Her videos were spanning 11,000, 31,000, even 63,000 views and followers. She was known for miming and dancing to popular songs. One of her final TikToks said that she was excluded from school after her death. Her TikTok account was deleted. But yeah, she said she was excluded from school. That's odd. But So from what I can read and everything that I've researched up on her, she seemed like a very bright, beautiful young lady who was just living in her truth and enjoying life and her happiness. She was accepted by her mother and her father. She had friends. She had followers, everything. But one thing we do have to be careful of, we have to be careful of who we call our friends. In this particular incident, especially, we really have to be careful of who we call our friends, because not everybody who smiles, or who's, what my grandma used to say, not everybody who's showing their teeth are smiling at you. So be careful. So on the afternoon of the 11th of February 2023, Ghey was found with multiple stab wounds on a path in Colchit Lanier Park by members of the public. Emergency services were called at 3:13 p.m. She was pronounced dead at 4:02 p.m. by paramedics at the scene. A home office post-mortem was ordered to determine the cause of death, an autopsy here in the States. On the 15th of February 2023, prosecutors Leanne Gallagher said the attack on Ghey was extremely brutal and punishing. A post-mortem examination found that Ghey had been stabbed 28 times across her head, neck, chest, and back. I could not imagine. And this was by people that she thought was her friend. Okay, this happened by people. Let's get into it. On the 8th of March, an inquest into Ghey's death was opened in Warrenton Coroner's Court and subsequently adjourned until after the trial. A pre-inquest hearing was scheduled for the 17th of August 2023. So, on the 12th of February 2023, two 15-year-old suspects, I won't say their names because y'all know I don't care to do, bring light to certain people. Some people do things because they try to what's the word? They try to gain sympathy, or not even so much of sympathy. They try to, let's see here. They do things because they want to be famous, they want to be known. They're nobodies. So they do a lot to try and make themselves known in a community, in a world where they're unknown. So I don't like to mention the actual name of the killers because they suck in my eyes. They're pieces of shit. Okay? So yeah, that's why I don't like to do that. But I will bring their picture up because guess what? Over in the UK, they approved that. They let them show they let them show the suspects. So these ignorant fools over here, these two dummies, they're the ones who caused Brianna's death. So the 15-year-olds, yes, these two individuals are 15 years old. They were 15 at the time of these pictures being taken. we'll call them E and S, from Warrenton was arrested simultaneously at their homes by Cheshire police. Police described the killing as a targeted attack. Mike Evans, Cheshire Police's head of crime, initially said, "At this time, there's no evidence to suggest that the circumstances surrounding Brianna's death are hate-related." And 2 days later, on February 14th, the police said they were investigating all lines of inquiry, including whether the attack had been a hate crime or not. And most likely, it probably was. I'm sure she was targeted just because she was trans. On February 15th, the suspects were charged with murder, refused bail, and placed in the youth detention center. The next day, the suspects appeared via video link, don't want to show that, in a brief hearing at the Liverpool Crown Court. At this hearing, Judge David Aubrey remanded them in youth detention accommodation until pre-trial, preparing hearing on the May of 2023, in which they were to enter their pleas. The accused were not required to enter a plea and were remanded until a further hearing on the 11th of May. In a pre-trial hearing on the 20th of July 2023, one of the suspects entered a plea of not guilty. A further pre-trial hearing took place on the 4th of October 2023, during which the other suspect pled not guilty. So both of them pled not guilty for the crimes. Even though they investigated it, they seen that they were there, they did do it. The trial started, it was at the Manchester Crown Court on the 27th of November 2023. Now, due to the nature of the case and the ages of those involved, reporting restrictions were put in place preventing the naming of both of the defenders at that time, as well as any other children mentioned during the trial. During the trial, Jenkinson was referred to as X. Well, one of them was referred to as X and the other was referred to as Y. The case was heard by Mrs. Justice Amanda Yip. Now, while in custody, one was found to have traits of autism and ADHD, they were diagnosed after the arrest as autistic and having selective mutism, one of them. So one of them had autism and ADHD, while the other has selective mutism, which was the guy. He had the selective mutism. So resulting in him only being able to speak to his mother. So if you guys know what selective mutism is an anxiety disorder in which a person who is otherwise capable of speech becomes unable to speak when exposed to specific situations, specific places, or specific people, one or multiple of which serving as triggers. This is caused by the freeze response. Selective mutism usually coexists with social anxiety disorders. People with selective mutism stay silent even when the consequences of their silence include shame, social ostracism, or punishment. Just for those who needed to know that. So he wasn't able to speak to anyone but his mother. Reasonable accommodations were made for both of the accused during the trial. Because of this selective mutism, he was allowed to communicate with court by typing on a computer. Both perpetrators were given the option to participate in proceeding via a video link rather than in person. The jury were also told that both of the parties could react or speak differently in the proceedings due to their diagnosis. It's crazy. Like, they should have been prosecuted to the highest extent of the law, treated just like any other adult that would commit a crime like this, because this is an adult crime. So they should have been treated just like adults. That's how I feel about it. Because it's BS. It's straight BS because there's no reason to why. Let's see here. So the prosecution case, during the trial, the prosecution presented evidence in the form of text messages that the defendants had previously tried to poison Ghey using an excessive amount of ibuprofen, resulting in Ghey becoming extremely sick in what her mother had thought at the time to be appendicitis. Appendicitis. The defendants had allegedly poisoned her in this manner due to Ghey struggling with depression, meaning that no one would get suspicious if she suddenly died via an overdose of over-the-counter medication. So this was so premeditated and everything. After that attempt failed, the prosecution alleges the defendants planned to kill her via repeated stabbing, with one of the defendants saying that he wanted to see if it will scream like a man or a girl. You heard that? He wanted to see if it will scream like a man or a girl. The prosecution presented further texts in which, prior to these attempts, one of the defendants was recorded as saying that she had become obsessed with Ghey and that Ghey was really different and really pretty. So it sounds to me she was like interested in a relationship with the trans girl, which she probably wasn't open for. Both defendants made separate defense cases. So this is the defense case. Each defendant placed the blame for the actual killing upon the other, arguing that they themselves were only accessories to the act. They said one had told him to bring us a hunting knife to the park, and that she had a plan to stab Brianna, or further stated that he did not take the other person alleged plan seriously. He didn't take the other person's alleged plan seriously because she had a history of always talking about murder and nothing happens. This allegedly ended with the stabbing of Ghey to death, which he denied holding any animosity towards Ghey regarding her trans identity. The other defense accused Jenkinson of manipulating him due to his autism. Before that, while she may have lured Ghey to the park where she was stabbed and come up with the plan in question, it was only done so as part of a fantasy, and that it was the other person who carried out the stabbing to the other defendant's shock. She described herself as not stopping the act despite her surprise due to being afraid of him, describing him as sociopath. Her defense also pointed out how an excess amount of Ghey's blood was later found on the guy's clothing, while none was on her clothing. The trial lasted 3 weeks. This is why I say you have to be careful who you call your friends, because if you're following me here, you heard me say, these are people who they're texting her. So this is supposedly her friends. They're texting her. They lure her out. They lure her out. Get her. They know she's vulnerable. They know she's depressed, of course, because of probably just not being accepted socially. We have to be careful. And to parents of trans or any LGBT plus kid, love them. Love on them so hard so they do not go out searching for love in this cruel world. The trial lasted 3 weeks, concluding on December 2020. December the 20th of 2023, with both defendants being found guilty of murder of Ghey. Jury deliberations lasted for 4 hours and 40 minutes. Miss Justice Yep, the judge, indicated that life sentences would be forthcoming. On the 21st of 2023, in December, Yep ruled the anonymity, whatever that is, orders that protected the identities. The anonymous is what it's supposed to say. Orders that protected the identities of the convicted murderers would be lifted, and they would be named during the sentencing hearing scheduled to take place in 2024. On the 2nd of this month of 2024, the sentencing hearing was held at Manchester Crown Court, before which the two teenagers were named. The judge determined that there was a strong public interest in the full and unrestricted reporting of what is plainly an exceptional case. The sentencing hearing included victim impact statements from Ghey's parents and stepfather. The court also heard updated assessments by psychiatrists of the perpetrators. Like we said, one has antisocial personality disorder rather than autism, and that the other one has a mild form of autistic spectrum personality disorder. Okay. I guess. One of the defendants was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 22 years with a reduction of 352 days for what she has already spent in remand. And the other one was also given a life sentence with a minimum of 20 years with a reduction of 352 days from what he has already spent on remand. One will become eligible to be considered for parole on January 25th, 2044, while the other will become eligible to be considered for parole on January the 25th of 2042. In handing down the sentences, Justin Yip described the murder as sadistic in nature, and referring to the defendants were a secondary motive was hostility towards Ghey because of her transgender identity. It's crazy. It's crazy. They did this because she was transgender. After Brianna's death prompted responses from her family, local community, politicians, charities, activists, and musicians. Brianna's family said her death had left a massive hole in our family. Emma Mills, the head teacher of Birchwood, I have a picture of, let's get these creeps off the screen. And let's get Brianna's parents. There's a picture of her and her mother. I would love to share that. So, so that's Brianna and her beautiful mom, the beautiful Brianna and her mom. Now, Emma Mills, the head teacher at Birchwood Community High School, said, "We are shocked and truly devastated to hear of the death of Brianna." A parent of one of Brianna's friends, speaking with the Daily Mail, alleged that the killing was a hate crime. Labour Party MP Don Butler said on Twitter that anyone in the media who was using her dead name trying to erase Brianna's identity should be ashamed of themselves. Another Labour Party MP, Nadia Whittam, said Brianna deserved a chance to become a beautiful adult woman and to live to see a world where trans people are safe and respected. Former Labour Party leader Jeremy Corbyn responded by saying she was killed because she wanted to be herself, and adding, "My thoughts are with Brianna's family and the trans community fighting for safety, dignity, and liberation." The Miami Herald reported that thousands in the LGBTQ community and users of social media were grieving over the stabbing of Brianna. LGBTQ rights charity Stonewall and transgender youth charity Mermaids expressed sympathy for Brianna's family. Transgender community helplines reported large increases in calls soon after Brianna's death, with topics concerning transphobia, gender identity, and hate crimes. Various musicians tweeted their sorrow, disgust, and support, including Youngblood, Big Joni, and Reverend and the Makers, excuse me. Reverend and the Makers. I know somebody gonna be looking at this like, this bitch don't even know these pics. I'm pretty sure these are probably UK artists and stuff, but they were fighting. I was reading too. They were fighting to try to get Brianna's death certificate to actually state that she is a female rather than stating as male. They say shortly after the verdict, let me see here. Shortly after the verdict was issued, Brianna's mother, Esther, said that her daughter was fearless to be whoever she wanted to be. Brianna's father, Peter Spooner, described his daughter as a beautiful girl to be proud of, and that his heart bleeds every day for Brianna, and this will never go away. Speaking about the defendants, Esther Ghey said that prior to the trial, she had moments where she felt sorry for the defendants because they had ruined their own lives as well as ours. However, this changed during the trial, stating that she had lost all sympathy for defendants, as neither had displayed an ounce of remorse for what they have done. She did, however, urge for some empathy and compassion for the families of both of the defendants, as they too have lost a child and must live the rest of their lives knowing what their child has done. She also signaled her willingness to speak to the mothers, saying they did not blame them for what had happened. Oh, it's so tragic, you know? It's so tragic. But what's the bright side of it is we're glad to see that justice was served. You know, the crime was committed and the murder took place, and we all know that it was a hate crime. But to see that justice was served was beautiful. And I hope that they spend the rest of their lives in prison, rotting miserably, as they should. As they should. Because it's sad. It really is. It's really, really sad that this beautiful individual had to lose her life just at the hands of two ignorant teenage kids. And one sounded like she was obsessed and probably in love with Brianna. And the guy, he was just a damn lapdog. It's sad. It really is. Our condolences are with the whole Ghey family. We respect you guys. We honor you in this moment. You birthed and raised for 16 years a beautiful butterfly. May she rest in peace. May her soul be free. And she's in the bosoms of the Lord, as my grandmother would say. You know, it's a tragic and it's a sad thing. I'm 41 years old. I'll be 42 this year. And I thank God that I've made it this far. But it's really, we've come so far, but we have so far to go. And I'm going to leave you guys with that. We've come so far, but we have so far to go. My condolences. I love you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to like, be sure to subscribe, comment, share the video. I love you as always. Make sure you're following me on social media, Facebook, The Giselle Talk Show, Instagram, The Giselle Talk Show Podcast. And I'll see you guys next Wednesday with another episode of Transgender Stories, Murders, and Survival. You guys have a great day.